One of the wounds of the human heart is this belief that God is not ultimately trustworthy. Maybe none of us would say this out loud, like, oh yes, God is not trustworthy. But the reality is that often there are parts of our hearts that doubt God's goodness and doubt God's great love for us. Right? There's parts of our hearts that ultimately believe that God is not fully trustworthy. And this wound in our hearts actually goes way back to the fall of Adam and Eve in the garden. Right? The serpent begins to talk Eve into, to persuade her, right, into eating the fruit. And Eve's first reaction is like, no, I shouldn't eat this fruit because God said that I shouldn't, and if I did, I would die. And the serpent tries to bring doubt into Eve's heart about God's goodness and God's intentions. The serpent says to Eve, surely you will not die. And then I'm paraphrasing here, but the serpent says, God knows that if you eat it, you will be like Him. Your eyes will be opened and you will know good and evil. This sense of like God is holding back from you. He actually doesn't have your best interest at heart, Eve. He's tricking you. He's not really fully trustworthy. You should go ahead and eat it. I know better, kind of thing. And as we know, Eve and Adam, they fall into this temptation, where we can see how at the heart of the fall, there's this sense of a lack of trust in the Lord, that He has our best interest at heart. And this wound of original sin that began with Adam and Eve gets passed, right, through generations and generations, and we are born with this wound of a doubt of God's goodness, a doubt of whether or not God is truly trustworthy, and a doubt of whether He's really for us, or maybe He's kind of a little bit against us. Now, the truth is that all this stuff about God not being trustworthy is a complete lie. It's a complete lie. It's a lie from the enemy. The Lord is completely trustworthy. Actually, there's nobody who is more trustworthy than the Lord. The Lord loves you, and He has chosen you for Himself in a particular way. We were just repeating in the responsorial psalm very beautifully. Bless the people the Lord has chosen to be His own. Bless the people the Lord has chosen to be His own. And who is this people that are blessed because the Lord has chosen to be His own? That's us. If you have been baptized, you can have complete certainty that the Lord has chosen you to be His own. What a blessing this is. This is just the truth of who we are. So perhaps something to ponder is, do you actually believe this? Like if you think to yourself, the Lord has chosen me to be His own. The Lord has chosen me to be His own. If you think that over in your head, in your heart, do you believe that to be true? If you do, you'll experience a certain freedom of the truth and goodness of the Lord and His love for us. But we doubt this to be the case, that really the Lord has chosen me to be His own. But it's the truth. This is the truth. If you take like a bird's eye view of Scripture, right, of the whole Bible and kind of salvation story, one could say that what we find in the Bible is really this huge love story, a love story between God and humanity. Right? God creates humankind out of love and for Himself. And then, as I was recounting with the fall, humanity chooses to reject God, to doubt His goodness. And then the rest of Scripture, like what unfolds after that, is just this relentless seeking on God's part, seeking humanity out, wanting to bring humanity back to Himself over and over again. It just continues to happen. And God does this thing, and then humanity comes back to God, and then humanity rejects God again, and then there goes God again, seeking humanity over and over again. A lover seeking his beloved, right? Seeking us over and over again. And this seeking on God's part gets so intense that He even chooses to kind of enter His own creation and say, I gotta just go in and really show them my love and be with them. And God, of course, knows this is gonna mean his own death. They're gonna kill him, but he still chooses to do that as a way of really trying to dispel that lie from the enemy that we are not loved by him, that he does not have our best interest at heart, right? He's willing to be tortured and die just to prove that he really does love us, that he really does love you. This beautiful love story that we see in Scripture, we can kind of see it in a general way, right? Like God seeking humanity out for him, like God seeking humanity for himself again. But this actually gets played out on a personal way for each one of you, right? This gets played out in a personal way. This love story is happening right now between you and God. He is seeking you out over and over again, because what do? He seeks us out and we reject him, right? We reject him, we choose other things instead of putting him in the first place. And instead of him just kind of washing his hands and saying, I'm done with you, he just relentlessly continues to seek you over and over again because he loves you and because he has chosen you for himself. And he's not going to give up. I mean, ultimately, we have a choice in the matter. He's not going to force us to be in relationship with him, but he's never going to give up seeking us out. In the beginning of the gospel, we hear Jesus say, do not be afraid any longer, little flock, for your Father is pleased to give you the kingdom. Right? The Father is pleased. He is pleased to give you of himself and invite you into a relationship with himself. And he is pleased to give you his kingdom. God is for you 100%. Now, besides having this lie in our hearts of doubting God's goodness, one thing that makes it hard to trust the Lord and that this is true, that he loves you, he's seeking you out, and you've been chosen by him, is that when we encounter difficulties, like hardships in our life, like these hardships kind of like poke at this wound in our heart and kind of exacerbate it and makes us doubt his goodness. Because often when we experience a hardship, maybe we ask the Lord to help us in a particular way, and he doesn't answer exactly like we want him to. There's this sense of us having to wait to see what the Lord is going to do with maybe something we're going through. And so today, Jesus gave us like 5 or almost like 10 parables on just waiting, different images of servants waiting for their master. And this, of course, has to do with the coming of Jesus coming back and being ready for the end times. But it could also be applied to the sense of waiting when we're going through a situation and waiting to see what the Lord is going to do. And there's this temptation of being like these wicked servants who kind of give up on their master coming back and just kind of saying, okay, the master is delayed in coming, and so I'm going to become the master of my own household and just do my own thing. I'm going to start drinking and getting drunk and using the servants here in this house like I want to use them, right? In this case, beating the servants of the household, etc., right? But the way this looks in our life is like God is not acting like we want him to, so we say, okay, I'm done waiting for you, Lord, whatever you want to do, and I'm going to do my own thing, right? And when we do that, we close ourselves off to whatever the Lord wants to do. As opposed to when we wait, we open ourselves up to what the Lord is doing. Maybe like an analogy of something similar that happens in our life. If you're a parent, I am confident this has happened to you, where maybe you make a choice for your child. It could be as simple as not buying them the candy bar at HEB that they want, to maybe something more complex. And your child is really angry at you and thinks that you don't love him or her, right? You hate me, and I hate you too, right? And of course, it's not true, right? You're making this choice actually out of love for your child. And it hurts so much to hear your child think you don't love them, when precisely it's out of love you're making that choice. And then you have to persevere in this perception that your child doesn't love you, this perception that your child thinks is he or she is not being loved by you, because you actually love them and you're willing to take that hit and absorb that hit because you know this is actually good for them. And so you just take the hit, right? And so God does something similar with us. He wants our ultimate good, not just our immediate good. And so often he doesn't answer our prayers or fix our situations in the way that we want Him to, because He has something else in mind. Now, this doesn't mean that He causes the evils that happen in our heart, in our life, but if He doesn't fix them exactly the way we want Him to or immediately, perhaps there's a perspective or something that we can see that He is doing. So that when we fight against this wound of not trusting the Lord, is persevering in hope, which is what the good servants that Jesus talks about are doing, right? They keep their loins girded and their lamps lit, kind of in this hopeful sense. No, the Lord is coming and He's coming soon. And when we persevere in hope, we actually open ourselves up, not only to like, okay, the Lord is going to be doing something maybe next year, but when we do that, we actually allow the Lord to do something with our hearts at that very moment. The Lord is always wanting to act in our hearts. And when we close ourselves off, we do not allow Him to act. When we persevere in hope and open ourselves up to surrender and to trust Him, then we give Him something to work with and for Him to do great things for us. In fact, something fascinating about the first parable that, or the second, that Jesus gives today, He says that for the good servants that are like waiting for their master patiently, He returns and then He says the following: "Blessed are those servants whom the master finds vigilant on his arrival. Amen, I say to you, he will gird himself, have them recline at table, and proceed to wait on them." It's a very mysterious saying. He's saying that the master is going to come back, and instead of the servants welcoming the master and saying, "Okay, master, how can we, serve you, and let's wash your feet, and let's give you something to eat," it's the master. Like, if the master comes back and finds his servants waiting for him, the master himself is going to gird himself and have the servants recline at table, and the master is going to serve them, which is so weird. This would never happen in a real kind of servant-master relationship. But with the Lord, it does, because He has chosen us for Himself, and when we open ourselves up of waiting for Him, to allow Him to do whatever He wants to do and trust Him and surrender to Him our own, whatever we're going through, then He comes in and He girds Himself, has us recline at table and serves us, right? Father is pleased to give you the kingdom. He has chosen you to be His own, particularly you. So we just have to open ourselves up and trust Him that this is the truth.